program because June, as you know, is Black Music Month. And it is our joy every day to choose a different artist of the day. We call it our artist in residence, and play some of the best of their music all 3 hours of our program. And so today, that person is Stevie Wonder, and hope you're enjoying it. It's always great on a talk stations, as we're syndicated across the country, to weave in a little bit of good music in between these great conversations. And so June gives us a chance to do that, and we are taking full advantage of it today with Stevie Wonder. In this hour, as promised, a conversation with the senior reporter for the Center for Public Integrity, April Simpson. We will talk in a moment about this new 3-part investigative documentary about the dark history of Reconstruction. It is called 40 Acres and a Lie. 40 Acres and a Lie. Before I commence our conversation with April Simpson, here now the trailer for 40 Acres and a Lie.
40 acres and a mule. I've heard that phrase all my life, and I really thought I knew the history behind it, but I didn't. I knew that after surviving the brutality of slavery, newly freed black people were made a promise of land.
Black people had a vision that if I can get my toehold in this land, I can take care of myself.
But what I didn't know is that it was more than that.
It was a program. It was rolled out. There are documents to show it.
Land titles, ink on paper. After the Civil War, the federal government actually gave formerly enslaved people land, 40 acres, and then took it back.
Can you imagine? I can't. They had it, and then they just pulled the rug from under them, so to speak.
This was a betrayal.
More than 150 years later, reporters from the Center for Public Integrity uncovered many of those land titles, people who got them and where.
Samuel Miller, 40 acres on Edisto.
Fergus Wilson, 40 acres on Sapelo Island.
Primus Morrison, 40 acres on Edisto.
Lucy Crosby,
Philip Young,
Amos Jackson,
Cyrus Jenkins.
So far, we found more than 1,200 people who got land and had it taken away. We found some of their descendants.
Great-grandfather, that's my great-grandfather. I had to tell somebody.
And we met people who own that land today.
My question is, where do we go from here? Do they want it back?
Having hard conversations about what's owed.
I don't know. I wish I had an answer to that. I'm not happy with where this world is or where this country is right now.
That's why we're trying to understand what do we think we should do to try to reckon with that past.
Turn that thing off for a second.
From Reveal and the Center for Public Integrity, 40 Acres and a Lie, a reparation that wasn't and a wealth gap that remains. Our 3-part series starts June 15th on Reveal. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
There you have it, 40 Acres and a Lie. Wanted to play that trailer to give you a sense of what this 3-part series is about. I'm honored now to have the senior reporter for the Center for Public Integrity, April Simpson, on this program. April, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I am doing well and delighted to be in dialogue with you for the hour. There's lots to talk about here. Let me start with this broad question, and I want to connect the dots to a conversation we had earlier this week on this program. I love connecting dots for this audience. It's a pretty bright audience anyway, and if they're tuned in every day, which I hope they are, they hear the same things I hear. But we had a conversation literally a couple of days ago on this program about 40 Acres and a Mule. This documentary series is called 40 Acres and a Lie. I'll link those two things up in just a second here. But let me start with this broad question. I'm glad y'all did it, and it's an amazing piece of work, I must say. But where did the idea come to do this? Why this subject matter?
Yeah, so we were looking into Black land loss and a team of us were trying to find our next investigative project. And one of my colleagues had talked to some folks, and they suggested she look at the Freedmen's Bureau records. And so in looking in those records, she stumbled upon a land title and immediately knew that this was important. So she shared this with the group, and we did some additional reporting and learned how the Smithsonian was just starting to digitize a lot of these documents. and a number of experts had not even seen these land titles associated with 40 acres and a mule, or Sherman Special Field Orders number 15. So, for a number of the folks involved, and I think people generally know of 40 acres and a mule. They know that as a broken promise, but didn't necessarily know that there were land titles involved and the details of the program. So we saw it as an opportunity to delve into this history.
So let me connect the dot right quick before we come forward and continue this dialogue, really get started in this hour talking about 40 acres and a lie. For those of you listening every day, I hope that means you, and you. You'll recall just a couple of days ago we had a conversation with a legendary attorney here in this city of LA about a case he has regarding undervalued property and bogus and biased appraisals. John Sweeney was a guest in the studio this week, talking about this major case here in LA where a black family is being put upon with a major piece of property that was undervalued. A number of appraisals came in at 3.1 and higher, and that got kicked down by this particular company to $1.5 million. And they are now in a major lawsuit over this incident. And so all these years later, we are still wrestling with not just land loss, but the undervaluing of the land that we do have with these bogus and biased appraisals. You recall in that conversation, I asked John Sweeney, my first question was, how did we get here? How all these years later we still dealing with this? He said, well, let me take you back to Sherman's Field Order number 15. You remember this? The same thing that April Simpson just referenced a couple of days later. Sherman's Field Order number 15. It was John Sweeney who told us that after the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln asked black folk, what can we do? And they said, give us land. You remember this part of the story? And John Sweeney told us that Abraham Lincoln agreed to do that. And then comes Andrew Johnson after Lincoln was assassinated, and he rescinded that rule. And that's why we never got 40 acres and a mule. What this documentary series is about is those 1,200 formerly enslaved people who did get it. Those who got it before the program was abruptly ended by Andrew Johnson. I can't make this stuff up. I did not know that both of these guests would be on in the same week, but these dots are always fascinating for me, and for those who listen every day, I hope that you remember that and recall that. It's a fascinating thing for me. I hope you find it interesting as well. When we come forward, we'll talk more about 40 Acres and the Lie with April Simpson, senior reporter for the Center for Public Integrity. I look forward to that in a moment. Stay with us.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you've not been feeling yourself lately, if your weight loss dreams have turned into weight gain nightmares, you've been chasing those same 20 pounds for like 20 years now, it's time to try D-Herbs. D-Herbs is a full body cleanse, a natural cleansing regimen, in fact, that can help you lose 20 pounds in just 20 days. The full body cleanse will also boost your immune system and improve your digestion. Summer is here, so now's a good time to finally stop chasing those pounds, those extra pounds, and prepare yourself into a healthier lifestyle. To reboot your system and lose weight, go to dherbs.com and order your full body cleanse, or call 866-434-3727. If you mention Tavis at checkout, they will give you a discount. dherbs.com. Experience healing.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you can receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hey LA, today I'm here to talk to you about Grid Alternatives, which is a nonprofit in LA that focuses on renewable energy. We serve communities who have been left out of the renewable energy sector. We offer paid job training, and in 13 weeks, you can become a solar installer. 80% of our graduates get hired into the industry, and once you're hired in the industry, you stop at a high median income. That could be $20 an hour or more. 80% of our graduates get hired into the industry. Call today so you don't be left out at 323-861-0105 or gridalternatives.org, gridalternatives.org.
So you just used bug spray in your home. Now what? Well, between the waiting and waiting for things to dry up and keeping your family away from the mess, it hits you. You could have used Zevo. Unlike other bug sprays that stick around, Zevo goes from kill to clean in seconds. Plus, it's safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Zevo, people-friendly, bug-deadly.
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now, you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears, thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable with Always Fear No Gush.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
To let me know you made it home. Don't want nothing to be wrong with part-time lover. If she's with me, I'll blink the light to let you know tonight's the night for me and you, my part-time lover. We are undercover fashion on the run, chasing love up against the sun.
More of Stevie Wonder. The best of Stevie Wonder. Some of the best of Stevie Wonder. That corpus is so deep, you can't even say the best. You want a barroom brawl, just ask people, what's the best Stevie Wonder song ever? You got a fight going on. The corpus is deep, deep, deep. June is Black Music Month, and we are playing the best of a particular artist on any given day. And today that artist is Stevie Wonder. We continue our conversation now with April Simpson, senior reporter for the Center for Public Integrity. They have an amazing new 3-part investigative documentary series about the dark history of Reconstruction. It's called 40 Acres and a Lie. 40 Acres and a Lie. And I'm pleased to have time in this hour to talk to April about this amazing piece of work. April, I am curious, I always am, why the title 40 Acres and a Lie? It works, but why 40 Acres and a Lie?
I think we wanted to tell more of this history related to the land titles. Like I said, a lot of folks didn't really know of their existence. A lot of experts hadn't seen them. And to show that this wasn't just a promise, this was a real program that's been rolled out. There were folks on the land, cultivating the land, and some that were forcibly removed. And we also wanted to be able to show through genealogical research and artificial intelligence that we can connect some of these people who receive land titles to their descendants today, and we can track what happened to that land.
Yep. So tell me broadly, obviously you talked to, as we heard in the trailer at the top of this hour, you all tracked down some descendants, and they are a part of this amazing 3-part series. But tell me broadly about those 1,200 formerly enslaved people in the South who under the 40 Acres and a Mule program, while it existed until Andrew Johnson rescinded it. Tell me more broadly or with specificity, if you prefer, about these 1,200 formerly enslaved people who did, in fact, get that land.
Yeah, so we looked at Georgia and South Carolina specifically. The program was also in Florida, but we weren't able to find any land titles there. And through artificial intelligence, through image recognition, we were looking at the Freedmen's Bureau documents, 1.8 million records, and we're able to pull from that 1,250 named people who received land. And we found them either through laws that Freedmen's Bureau agents created or through actual land titles. And these are former enslaved people, women, who have given up to 40 acres, anywhere between, we found 4 and 40 acres, to start their lives after the war. This would have been land between Charleston and roughly Jacksonville, 30 miles inland.
North Carolina, I'm just looking at my notes here. North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, but you couldn't find descendants there. Those three states are fascinating for me for a lot of reasons. Perhaps we'll delve into that in just a second here. But the other part of the story that I find fascinating that we're discussing with April Simpson, in case you just tuned in, she's senior reporter for the Center for Public Integrity. They have a new series out about the dark history of Reconstruction called 40 Acres and a Lie. This program takes off once again after President Lincoln asked black folk, what can we do? They say, give us land, give us land. The program takes off. These 1,200 formerly enslaved people of the South in these three states that they researched for this documentary series get this land. But after former slavers and plantation owners cried foul, the government took the land back. Again, Andrew Johnson was responsible for that. But tell me the part of the story about these former enslavers and plantation owners who got upset about this, and in part, that's what compelled Andrew Johnson to do exactly what he did. What were they so upset about? Why were they crying foul?
Well, a lot of these plantation owners, they had evacuated the land during the war, and they were Confederates. So they were very upset that their land was being taken away and given to these formerly enslaved people. And a lot of them organized. They wrote letters to the president, petitioning the government, saying that for this 40 acres program, it's cruelly unjust. They just couldn't believe it, and really denigrating the formerly enslaved people who had this land now. In South Carolina, for example, the state hired a lobbyist named William Truscott, who had the president's ear and was really working on behalf of the plantation owners to get the land back. And one of the ways he was able to do this was by kind of tugging on these legal loopholes. So there was a difference between land that was abandoned versus evacuated. There was a legal fight over it, basically. So federal law had allowed the Union government to distribute any land that was designated as, quote, captured and abandoned during the war. But then the Confederate landowners argued that they had merely evacuated the land, and therefore they were entitled to return to it. And ultimately, President Johnson sided with the plantation owners and stripped this land from the formerly enslaved.
So these black folk who had been promised this land, given this land, inhabited this land, and then, again, these former enslavers and plantation owners lose their minds. They start screaming and yelling. They compel Andrew Johnson and the government to take the land back. Did these black people have no legal recourse?
I mean, they did have some legal recourse, and they did try to fight back, but they didn't have the, power or connections that these plantation owners had. They didn't have, like a lobbyist, essentially, working for them.
So, are there any stories that you uncovered where people were able to use the law, use the court system to recover what had been promised, given, and stolen back from them?
We did not do that kind of reporting in this project. We focus on some of the folks who, for example, in South Carolina, we focused on a family, it's really one family, black side of the family and the white side of the family. The black side having been given land and that was taken away, and the white side having 40 acres land that was returned back to them and still have descendants on that land today.
Tell me more about that part of the story. That's juicy, as we say, because in one family you got black folk who weren't promised it or were promised it and never got it. White folk who got the land returned to them, descendants still living on that land today. Tell me about that rub, as it were.
So Isaac Jenkins Michael, he was a plantation owner. He owned a number of plantations in Edisto Island, but the one we focused on was Peters Point Plantation. And he fathered a son with an enslaved woman named Maria who was the family's house servant, and that man was Jim Hutchinson. And Jim Hutchinson later received 40 acres through this program, and Isaac Jenkins Michael lost Peters Point Plantation through the program. And he's actually, Michael is one of the leading Confederates in Edisto. He encouraged other plantation owners to burn their cotton so that, the quote-unquote enemy, the Union, couldn't access it. He was one of those folks who was petitioning the government to get his land back. So anyway, Jim Hutchinson, he loses his land. Isaac Jenkins Michael gets his land back. And descendants on both sides of the family are still living in Edisto today. Jim Hutchinson was able to acquire other property in Edisto that his descendants are on. And like I said, the Michael descendants, we talked to two brothers who still live on Peters Point Plantation.
Yeah. One of the things that you sort of intimated earlier, and I want to come to right now, is, and this was some of the news that has been made by this series, 40 Acres and a Lie. It was largely assumed that these lands were only promised to black folk under this 40 Acres program, but your investigation demonstrated that that was not the case. It wasn't just black folk. Tell me about that part of the story.
There were black folks, there were women. I believe there were some white folks in the program too, but we mostly focused on those formerly enslaved people with the land titles. Mm-hmm.
So you track these people down. I want to get inside the weeds now because this is obviously a 2-year investigation. So you guys spent a lot of time digging through a lot of these records, almost 2 million digitized records from the Reconstruction era Freedmen's Bureau. So all that stuff is now available. You guys started going through all these digitized records. You discover all of this information, and then you all track down dozens of living descendants who really only learned from you how the government had deprived their own families of intergenerational wealth. Tell me about tracking down these families and what happens when you track them down and you tell them what they did not know about how their family was robbed by the government. They didn't know this until y'all told them. Tell me how that works.
Yeah, we basically created a spreadsheet with all these freedmen, and we looked at bank records, and we had the help of genealogists to track, them to their living descendants today. And when we met with them, some of them, because some we were able to find on Ancestry.com, and some of them, just by virtue of being on Ancestry, they're obviously very aware of their histories, they're very passionate about it. But some actually didn't know that their ancestor was a part of this 40 Acres program. So that was kind of interesting that was just a missing link for them, in large part because they didn't have access to these land titles that are just now starting to become digitized and becoming more widely available. But for some, there was, I guess you could say, some cynicism in that, and of course the land was taken away. And, others were just really glad to know more about this history and that we were able to share more with them.
Mm-hmm. When you say that you experience or sense some sense of cynicism, tell me more about that part. That seems a strange response. I mean, yeah, they took it away, but when you discover that your family was promised land, was given land, had land stolen from them, cynicism ain't the response that ain't the first response that I'd like to encounter if I'm telling somebody sharing with somebody that kind of breaking news.
Yeah, I think, there have been many injustices against black folks in this country, and I think that, while they might have been surprised to learn that their ancestor was part of this program, they weren't necessarily surprised that the land was taken away because of those long string of injustices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. You still ain't convincing me yet, April. I still don't buy it. I still don't buy that. I don't buy that the response to it is cynicism. I think that there are a number of other emotions I could reach for, but cynicism ain't one of them. I digress. People are funny. That said, when we come forward, I want to talk about this part of the story, and namely this. Where is that land today? This is the question. Where is that land today that was given and stolen back from these black families, some 1,200 formerly enslaved people in the South. Where is that land today? Speaking of cynicism, you won't be surprised when we come forward and you learn where some of that land is located, who owns it, what has been built on it. That part of the story, I think, will get your attention when we come forward with April Simpson, senior reporter for the Center for Public Integrity, talking about this new documentary series called 40 Acres and a Lie on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Tyreek Wayne. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Chicago, Illinois United Center is beginning to transform for this summer's Democratic National Convention. Monday was move-in day as the arena was being converted into a national stage. Starting August 19th, close to 5,000 delegates from across the nation will arrive in Chicago, joined by 5,000 visitors to officially nominate Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for re-election. Dozens of protesters gathered outside the Manhattan, New York DA's office on Monday to voice their disapproval of the dropping charges against many who demonstrated during the Columbia University Hamilton Hall occupation. The protest was driven by a group called End Jew Hate. Vice President Harris, who is black, is standing up for reproductive rights following a campaign appearance in Phoenix, Arizona. Harris was in Phoenix Monday on 2-year anniversary of Roe v. Wade being overturned, continuing to take full court press on the issue. That's the latest. I'm Tyreek Wayne on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Enjoy the rest of your night, and as always, travel home safe. In Laverne, an overturned car crash remains on the right shoulder embankment on the 210 East after Fruit Street, with stop traffic that continues from Lone Hill Avenue. In Boyle Heights, hit-and-run accident remains on the right shoulder of the 5 North at East 7th Street, with stop delays that continue from Highway 60. Over in Long Beach's 405 top of the 710, an accident remains on the right shoulder, with over 35 minutes running heavy from Century Boulevard. And over in Duarte, 3-car accident is on the 210 East after Buenaventura Street on the right shoulder, with a 15 to 20-minute backup running heavy from Highway 134.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA draft tips off tonight in New York City. The NBA is experimenting with a 2-day draft for the first time. First round begins tonight at 5 p.m. Live coverage on ESPN and ABC. Second round is tomorrow. The TV ratings may determine if the NBA sticks with this 2-day format. There could be more interest than usual in the second round. A lot of eyes will be on Bronny James to see what team may select LeBron's son. Bronny is projected to be a second-round pick. The Lakers have a second-round pick at number 55. Their first-round pick is number 17. Bronny worked out for only 2 teams, the Lakers and Phoenix. Phoenix has the number 22 pick in the first round. The Suns do not have a second-round choice. It's unlikely the Suns would use their first-round pick on Bronny. When the Lakers' turn comes up in the second round, the whole world will be watching to see what they do. Stay tuned. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Happy anniversary, KBLA! KBLA Talk 1580 is now celebrating 3 years of amplifying our voice and uplifting our community. We deeply appreciate your support of this radio station and will always do our level best to earn your support. Here's to many more years of loving and serving our community. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
As humans, we like
like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 Neighborhood Council created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While Neighborhood Council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like the style, though.
Let's get back to more of Tavis Smiley right now.
Summer day, my Sherry, you're more distant as the Milky Way. My Sherry, you're more pretty little one that I adore. You're the only girl my heart beats for. I wish you were.
I'm Tavis Smiley, that's Stevie Wonder, as we continue playing some of the best. Stevie Wonder, all 3 hours of today's program, weaving and bobbing out of these conversations with our guests as we continue to celebrate June as Black Music Month. Our guest in this hour is April Simpson, senior reporter for the Center for Public Integrity. They've curated a pretty amazing 3-part documentary series about the dark history of Reconstruction. It's called 40 Acres and a Lie, in case you've just tuned in. After the Civil War, President Lincoln asked black folk, what can we do? And they said, give us land, give us land. And there were about 1,200 formerly enslaved people in the South who, under the 40 Acres and a Mule program, did in fact receive land. But after, you know the story didn't stop there, right? After the former enslavers and plantation owners started crying afoul, the government took back the land. Lincoln is assassinated. Andrew Johnson becomes president. He is sympathetic to the arguments about Sherman's Field Order number 15. And Andrew Johnson rescinds this 40 acres and a mule program after about 1,200 people were able to partake of it. And what the Center for Public Integrity has done is to dig into almost 2 million digitized records to discover dozens of living descendants who they were the ones essentially, they broke the story to these descendants. Did you know that you are a direct descendant of a family that qualified for and, in fact, was given land under this 40 acres and a mule program? It's a fascinating, again, 3-part series. Delighted to have April Simpson on to talk about it for the rest of this hour. There are a couple of things that come to mind. The first is this. I got a funny question from one of our listeners I want to ask April in a second. It's kind of funny to me, at least. But first, these what-if questions I have found in my career are rarely useful, but I'll also hasten to add they're always interesting for me. It's like, what if Bobby Kennedy and MLK had not been assassinated in 1968? What if? So what if Abraham Lincoln had not been assassinated? Do you think that does anything about your research or your just delving into this story suggest to you that he, in fact, would have been able to keep his promise? He made the promise. He starts to deliver. Johnson comes in, but the pressure on Johnson builds, and Johnson, again, as I said a moment ago, rescinds the program. No doubt in my mind that had Lincoln lived, that same pressure would have been applied to him. Do you think, had he not been assassinated, that he could have kept his own promise?
I think he would have. I think that he was assassinated so quickly. It was only a month after 40 acres went into effect, but there were people in the military like Generals Howard and Saxton, also in the Freedmen's Bureau, who were really pushing for this program, who were, writing letters and saying, we promise this land, and even thinking that after Andrew Johnson is pardoning people, which was also a method for them to get their land back, they're still there saying, well, this doesn't apply to the 40 acres program because we've already promised that land. So, there's no saying how folks would have been able to hold on to that land over time, of course, but I do think that it would have gone through had Lincoln not been assassinated. I
accept your answer, but I find it fascinating for this reason, which I want to probe now and get your take on this part of the story. Black people, and even folk who aren't black, who are well-intentioned, always say that America's original sin was slavery, and that's really not true. I've said lovingly to many, many people, including Barack Obama, who uttered that famous line in Boston when he was speaking and introducing John Kerry, the nominee that year. Barack Obama even referred to slavery as America's original sin. It's not. Respectfully, it is not. I know what you mean by that, and it's well-intentioned, but that's not the original sin. The original sin is what we did to the Native Americans. That is America's original sin, not what they did to our people, horrific though it might have been. It was not the original sin. So April says now that she believes had Lincoln lived, he would have kept his promise about 40 acres on a mule. I find that interesting only because that ain't what we did to the Native Americans. We have just been I'm trying to find the right word for a family radio program. What we have done to the Native Americans in this country is just completely objectionable, indefensible. I could go on and on with adjectives to describe what we've done to the Native American people. So my question is, if we disrespected them, if we have played them, demonized them, stolen from them, why, I'm just curious, why do you think that Lincoln would have kept his promise to black folk when they didn't do it to the Native Americans?
That's a very good question. I guess I would argue that the black families were not really getting this land for free. They were renting their plots for 3 years with the option to buy them. So I don't know. That's maybe not a good answer to your question, but this wasn't something that was really freely given.
No, there are no bad answers. It's your answer. You're speaking your truth and your assessment. And sometimes the questions have no answers. I don't know. As I said a moment ago, sometimes these what-if questions are interesting, if not altogether useful. But it is fascinating for me. I don't know. I don't know that I think that Lincoln. Maybe here's the tweak. Lincoln would have wanted to keep his promise. Whether or not he could have kept his promise is a different story. The would versus the could I digress on that. But again, when you consider what they did to Native Americans, the narrative is not compelling in this regard. But I digress on that. I mentioned earlier that I wanted to ask a couple of things, and let me just tee this up now. Looking at my clock, I'll tee these things up now. We'll continue and get April's response to these when we come forward. But I am curious. I already know the answer. I'm just being, somewhat tongue in cheek. Where did all these parcels end up? All this land that was given to these black people and then taken from them. Where did that land end up? Who got that land? What's been constructed or built on that land? What became of that land that was given and stolen from black people? I'm going to talk about that part when we come forward with April Simpson on Tavis Smiley.
From the Alert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number and put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement. Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Happy anniversary, KBLA! KBLA Talk 1580 is now celebrating 3 years of amplifying our voice and uplifting our community. We deeply appreciate your support of this radio station and will always do our level best to earn your support. There's so many more years of loving and serving our community. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
I know it's gonna happen without you.
We see a lot of news about teens vaping, but teens see something else. Videos on social media that glamorize it and downplay the dangers of nicotine. How can parents talk so kids will listen? Use facts. 1. Nicotine can rewire teens' brains. 2. It can make teens more anxious. 3. Changes to the brain can be permanent. So even when it hides behind a new look, nicotine is brain poison. Go to undo.org for more.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelinos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
Have you been a victim or witness to hate or discrimination? Contact the California vs. Hate hotline to report the incident by calling 833-8-NO-HATE or visit cavshate.org. They'll help you access resources and support, including legal, financial, mental health, and mediation services. California vs. Hate is not affiliated with the police, and you can report anonymously. Use your voice. Report hate by calling 833-8-NO-HATE or visit cavshate.org. Res Radio 91.3.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
He's rooting for everybody black. More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
More of April Simpson coming your way right now. Senior reporter for the Center for Public Integrity. Their amazing three-part investigative documentary series is called 40 Acres and a Lie, which really tells the truth about the dark history of Reconstruction and the 40 acres and a mule that were promised to black people that was in fact given to about 1,200 people until Lincoln's assassinated, Johnson becomes president and rescinds that order. We've been all these years asking that question, whatever happened to our 40 acres and a mule. This series helps shed even more light on that. I said earlier, if I wanted to ask you a question, one of our listeners, I found pretty funny. The question is, did y'all discover whether Spike Lee was a descendant on this list? April, can you hear me? April Simpson, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
I think you're on mute. Did you hear my question?
Yes, and no, we did not look at Spike Lee.
So yes, Spike was not on the descendant list. I thought that was kind of funny, given that his company costs us 40 acres and a mule. So no, the answer is no. For those who want to know whether Spike Lee was on the list. All right, so here's the question. That was somewhat funny, but anyway, here's a serious question though. Where did you all discover many of these parcels have landed? Where are they? Who owns them? What's happened to them? What's been built on them? What's the value of them? Just tell me anything you can about this land that was given to black people and taken away.
Yeah, so since the land is largely coastal property, it had a lot of developmental value over time, and we found that a lot of it is wealthy gated communities, golf courses. My colleague who went to Georgia found this community called The Landing on Skidaway Island, and this is a very wealthy place. It has 6 golf courses, 4 clubhouses, 10 restaurants, 2 marinas, a spa, 5 swimming pools, multiple tennis and pickleball courts. So it is valuable land, and I think the average home there is about $800,000.
What does this story tell us about intergenerational wealth and what could have been?
This is wealth that was not passed down from generation to generation. So a lot of those formerly enslaved people who lost the land, some were able to acquire land elsewhere, some had to move on for better opportunities, but this is a place where they could have restarted their lives, and their next generation could have continued building on that land. And when we look at families that are still on the properties and have hundreds of acres, and for example, the family that I reported on, that land is worth about $5 million today, we can see the real value of having been able to hold on to it over time.
Our remaining moments talking about black land laws with April Simpson when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Unapologetically progressive, unapologetically black. You're tapped into Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association.
Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times that the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors. It helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and April Simpson, who's a senior reporter for the Center for Public Integrity. Got about 3 minutes left in this conversation. Their series, a 3-part series, is called 40 Acres and a Lie. 40 Acres and a Lie, and it's pretty revealing about the dark side, the night side, the dark history of Reconstruction, bringing us some information that we did not have access to here before about what happened to this 40 Acres and a Mule program, when it started, why it was rescinded, and what happened to those descendants who were robbed essentially of an opportunity for intergenerational wealth. I close with this, April. I am curious as to whether or not I assume I know the answer to this first question. I'll ask it anyway. I'm curious as to whether or not you and your team are pleased with your work on this 3-part series, and if you are, what do you hope the takeaways will be for those who tap into it?
Yeah, I think it's been a long road working on this for a couple of years, and I think we're just so happy and relieved to finally have it out in the world. It's the tool that we created allows searching those Freedmen's Bureau documents to be a lot easier. So we're hoping that academics and historians and people will look at it to do their own research and learn more about their ancestors. And I hope it complicates the conversations that we're having right now around reparations and what is owed and how it is possible to quantify these things and to point to descendants today who we can connect to this program.
Complicates in what way? You said that's an interesting word. You hope it complicates. In what way?
I think there's a lot of disagreement about our past and the extent to which it's relevant today and how much of it we need to reckon with now. So I just hope that people on both sides of that conversation gain a little more understanding of the other by learning more about this history and by hearing descendants, white and black descendants of this program.
Yep. And finally, because I assume after 2 years of work and after an hour conversation with me, because I assume you want people to get access to this, how do people access the series, 40 Acres and a Lie?
Yes, please go to 40acresandalie.com. That's the number 40acresandalie.com.
There you have it. Her name is April Simpson. She's senior reporter with the Center for Public Integrity. Again, the series is called 40 Acres and a Lie, and you can access it by going very simply to 40acresandalie.com. April, thank you for your work on this project. Thank you for the conversation. Good to have you on this program. Wish you nothing but the best in the coming weeks and months. Thank you for your time. I'm grateful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good to have had you on. In our third and final hour today, when we come forward, two conversations. On the B side of the next hour, we will talk to Chris Hooks, editor-in-chief of the Boston Globe's Money, Power, and Inequality newsroom. He'll take us inside their new series on 50 years of busing in Boston. It's called Broken Promises, Unfulfilled Hope. That's on the B side, the backside of our final hour. We will commence our next hour in conversation, actually continuing our series of dialogues with a number of presidents of these HBCUs. Today it's Herman J. Felton Jr., Ph.D., J.D., the president of Wiley University. That and more when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Tyreek Wayne. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Chicago, Illinois United Center is beginning